everybody, and welcome to the first Friday of 2017 for us here at Your News Today and for everyone else as well. Thank you for being a part of the program. We will be talking about the weekend that lies ahead, a winter weather advisory, wind chill factors well below zero, close to 10 below zero for some of us, for some of the weekend. We'll outline that Arctic air and when we might see a little relief from it in just a few moments. Top headlines tonight will include several indictments returned yesterday by a Magoffin County grand jury, one relating to charges levied against a Magoffin County man who is part of the investigation into the shooting of an officer with the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife's official cruiser at his home in Wolfe County. We'll have that report, those indictments to follow as well. Also, a wrongful death lawsuit involving a Magoffin County family and a Magoffin County doctor, also judge executive, as well as national headlines which have riveted the country and others today, and how it has hit home for a couple of families here in Magoffin County, one of which I spoke to, and you'll hear from in just a few moments, as their daughter was one of 16 U Pike students and 2 Magoffin Countyans who were in the next terminal over in the Fort Lauderdale airport earlier today when the shooting took place that has thus far claimed 5 lives. Also some details on the situation in and of itself. So indeed, a great deal to talk about this evening, and of course that will also include calendar announcements and others as well. We'll go ahead and pick it up with indictments which were returned by the Magoffin County grand jury on yesterday. Nearly a dozen indictments returned, drug-related theft and several other charges, all contained therein. And as I just mentioned a few moments ago, one against the Magoffin County man already in jail on drug-related charges, but also a part of an investigation into the vandalism and shooting of an officer's truck with the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife.
To get high-speed internet on their state-of-the-art fiber optic network for all of your home and business solutions, or to watch TV without a contract on over 200 digital channels with superb quality, or stay connected with family and friends with 24/7 telephone service you can always depend on, contact Foothills Broadband today. Or just click on their link to the right to find out how they're working to provide the latest in communications at affordable prices with exceptional service at Foothills Broadband.
2 people were indicted for burglarizing a Sagersville home, that being a woman from Wayland and a man from Flat Gap in Johnson County. Miranda Poston was indicted, as was another individual, a Brandon Jenkins from Flat Gap, on several charges. All the charges they were indicted on are in complicity, as the 2 stand accused of the same crime. Indicted on burglary in the first degree, complicity, as well as theft by unlawful taking, receiving stolen property, a firearm, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and possession of a handgun by a convicted felon. They're accused of burglarizing a trailer on Gardner Trail here in Sagersville at the residence of a Sammy and Melissa Brown. It was when police discovered that one of the stolen items had been sold to an individual in the area that they were able to further investigate and recover some of the items which were taken from the home, including guns, a TV, a camera, and other personal effects. Magoffin County Sheriff's Deputy Neil Adams brought before the grand jury the case against Tony Brust Jr. of Merritt Island, Florida. Brust subsequently being indicted on a single count of custodial interference. Jack Brent Crace of Sagersville was indicted on 3 drug-related counts: trafficking in a controlled substance in the first degree, more than 10 dosage units, possession of drug paraphernalia, and possession of a controlled substance, the prescription not in its original container. This relates to a traffic stop done by Sagersville City Police Officer Jeremy Watson some weeks ago, where he was also found to be in possession of 156 oxymorphone tablets, several $100s in cash, some needles, and other drug paraphernalia. He was also charged with DUI in the case. The DUI carried, I believe, by the Kentucky State Police. Crace, we are told, was not arrested per the indictment arrest warrant, as he was in rehabilitation. James Clay Barnett was indicted on several counts by the Kentucky State Police: possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, wanton endangerment in the first, and criminal mischief in the first degree. Unable to get all the details about the exact nature of the property that was defaced or damaged, but the Kentucky State Police, specifically Trooper Paul Johnson, brought before the grand jury a case that sometime around May the 30th of 2016, he was in possession of that firearm, that he was also accused of wanton endangerment in the first degree, as for namely representing himself as a danger to a Kent Simpkins, and that also he intentionally and wantonly defaced property belonging to a Kent Simpkins and AA Repo Central, causing about $19,500 in losses to Simpkins and the company. And 3 people were indicted and subsequently jailed last evening, all related to the same case, all facing a count of criminal mischief in the first degree for damaging a car. Reports are from Sagersville City Police Officer Jeremy Watson, who presented the case before the grand jury, that he responded to a report of a car that had been vandalized that belonged to one Eloise Bailey in front of the Magauffa County Public Library. It was there that someone had scratched with a key or sharp object, he says, 2 profane words on the side of the vehicle, actually misspelled, he says. Nevertheless, it was later determined through an investigation that he believes that Raymond Keaton of Meadows Branch, his wife Jenny Keaton, also of Meadows Branch, and a third individual, Jamie Perkins, also of Meadows Branch in Magauffa County, were guilty for the damage done to Bailey's car that was estimated to cause her losses at around $1,114. And Jerry Shepard of Sagersville was indicted on several counts: trafficking in a controlled substance, methamphetamine, possession of a controlled substance in the first degree, that being methamphetamine as well, possession of drug paraphernalia, and resisting arrest. Now, this arrest and subsequent indictment is tied to another investigation as well that is still ongoing. Shepard was actually arrested after an investigation began by the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife after someone took a shotgun to blow out the back window of one of their conservation officers' pickup trucks as it sat in his driveway at his home on New Year's Day, actually around 3 o'clock or so that morning. Officer Glenn Griffey with the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife, a Breathitt County conservation officer who lives in Wolfe County, says that his vehicle was shot into, the rear window was blown out, and there was damage also done to the inside of the truck. While the suspects, he believed, fled on foot from the scene, there were no injuries sustained by he or anyone in his family. However, an investigation that quickly began by the Department of Fish and Wildlife led them to the Back Branch area here in Magauffa County, where they did find Jerry Shepard and found him to be in possession of methamphetamine, found him in possession of a large sum of cash as well. The 46-year-old was lodged in the Big Sandy Jail, where he still is at this time, now being indicted on those charges, while authorities believe that he also may be the subject of an investigation, or one of those men may be responsible for the damage done to the officer's pickup truck. That's still under investigation. Officials have not publicly said that Shepard is the one responsible for the damage done to the cruiser or official vehicle. However, they have said that they take this case much more seriously than just vandalism, and possible charges of wanton endangerment, maybe even much more serious charges, could be levied against those that they find responsible. Shepard does remain lodged in the Big Sandy Regional Detention Center at this time. Another indictment also returned was that against Charles Allen Combs of Sagersville. His photograph was unavailable as of airtime, but Charles Allen Combs indicted by the grand jury in Magauffa County on trafficking in marijuana 8 ounces to 5 pounds, as well as trafficking in a controlled substance first degree and trafficking in marijuana. He was said to be in possession of the before-mentioned drugs, a considerable amount of marijuana, as well as the prescription pills on around the 17th day of March of this year. The grand jury witness was Detective Scotty Hamilton of the Kentucky State Police, their drug enforcement unit, I believe, as well. That's all I can tell you on that. 2 cases were remanded back to district court that were brought before the grand jury, that of Chad Hunley of Royalton for assault in the 4th degree and criminal trespassing in the 3rd, and that of Jessica McKenzie for failure to report child neglect or abuse in the 1st offense. Once again, those 2 cases sent back to district court as those charges were misdemeanor charges. I'll be right back. There are a few words to describe the feelings that some families have had to experience today, and of course some tragically are experiencing much worse. But a parent's greatest fear, I'm sure, realized by some, and fortunately not by others, but a real possibility thereof for a few moments. There were 2 Magauffa County girls, 2 U-Pike students out of more than a dozen, who were returning from a trip to Haiti, a mission trip today, and they were awaiting their flight home from Fort Lauderdale, and they were there just as the shooting broke out. We'll get to that in just a second, as I can tell you that they were fine. not related to the shooting, and family members have spoken to both of them. Now they're just trying to get home, I'm sure, after what has been just a horrific day for them nonetheless. But to first cover the shooting in and of itself, as of right now, we do know that 5 people are dead. The shooting suspect is alive and in custody after the what is now believed to be a confirmed lone gunman right now opened fire in a baggage claim area in Florida's Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. He shot several individuals, several in the head, several after they were already shot and lying on the ground. And during all the panic, there was another unconfirmed report of a second active shooter. No indications, however, have proven that to be true or accurate at this time throughout the still ongoing and early investigation. The suspect in custody and identified as Esteban Santiago. He was carrying a military ID. He was a passenger initially reported on a Canadian flight, but Canadian officials now saying that he was not on a Canadian flight, so still yet to be determined. But he reportedly did have a gun that was checked. He claimed his bag, took his gun from his bag, went into the bathroom, put the bullets in the gun, and came out shooting into that baggage claim area. That was our last report. He was taken into custody because apparently after he shot those at least 13 people and ran out of bullets, he literally went to the ground and waited for authorities to come and take him into custody without any incident. It's unclear what motivated this attack. We know that he was described as a man in his 30s. He was wearing a Star Wars t-shirt at the time. We also know that paramedics, of course, treated several victims on scene, 8 of which are still alive and taken to the area hospital. 5 fatalities, of course, which have been confirmed at the airport, which stands, I believe, as the 20th or 21st most congested or most active in the United States. There are 21 airlines at that particular facility, and about 2.5 million people a year, I believe, maybe per report in November, use that facility. And all that leads into the following interview, where I spoke with a local father that you're about to hear from, whose daughter was in Terminal 2, that being Terminal 1, I believe, where the shooting took place. Regardless, she was just next door, and she and some of her schoolmates, fellow students at the University of Pikeville, were getting a bite to eat, waiting for their trip on home, in a Chili's actually, for Brandy Jo Howard, when the shooting broke out. McGoffin Countyans Brandy Jo Howard and Leanna Mullins among this group just returning. Howard and Mullins were among 16 U-Pike students on a trip to Haiti, on a mission trip, returning home. They were getting a bite to eat in a Chili's inside the Fort Lauderdale airport when they heard a commotion and everyone began running, presumably for their lives, after the possibility of a second shooter, at the time unaware of the first.
Actually, Brandy was sitting in Terminal 1 down there at the Fort Lauderdale Airport when this thing took place, and she had called her mother, Vicky, and Vicky had in turn called me and said that she was pretty upset and was running while she was on the phone trying to leave the airport, that there was a shooter there. So Vicky had texted me, so I called Brandy, and when I called her, she was pretty upset, and they were outside at the time, and she explained, what was going on, and pretty much what's on the news is what she said, and but I mean, she was really tore up. Her, and she was with a couple of her friends with the U-Pack missions. Well, they were eating, and they were actually separated from the other team members. There's 16 in total, and they lost them on the way out. They didn't know where they was at. They hid behind the car once they got outside, and then some more people started gathering, and they kind of got around people. And I don't know, it's just kind of a fuzzy picture in my mind right now when she was talking to me, because I was pretty tore up too. So, I mean, she's safe now, and that's all that matters. And I just want to say, we're praying for the families that some of their people are not safe, and so it's been a tough little deal.
Steve tells me that Brandy Jo and Leanna have been to Haiti on mission trips on numerous times. He says this is actually Brandy Jo's 5th trip she's just returning from. They have spoken on the telephone several times since, and at last report just a few moments ago, they were still being held outside on the tarmac outside of the airport. And while everyone is obviously elated that they are safe and sound right now, they're just concerned about them getting back into the airport, as well as retrieving some personal effects, including passports and other items that they had to leave behind when they made a dash to try to reach safety. And then, of course, making a safe trip home.
More headlines in a minute. Right now, more birthdays. You know, we like birthdays around here. This one says, happy 78th birthday, old man. I'm assuming you know who you are. Well, there's a bunch of us, but nevertheless, with a lot of love from Ernie and Wayne, Raymond, Roberta, family, and friends. Happy birthday. The old man's birthday, December the 8th, I'm told. So a bit early, but nevertheless, happy birthday. And a birthday wish also for December the 8th, it says. So still a bit early, but nevertheless, a big birthday wish to Zachary Fletcher. Love Papaw, Elwood Fletcher, family, and friends. Happy birthday. And dogs have certainly been the subject of news around here all week long. Missing ones certainly as well. And I've got two, I think, for you tonight. There's still a reward, I believe, still being issued. I don't believe he's been found yet. So a missing puppy, 9-month-old, my apology, blue heeler pup, belongs to this little fella and another young little girl wearing a green and gray collar. The dog was very friendly, answers to Ringo. And last seen around Buffalo a couple of days ago. No questions asked, but a cash reward being offered. If you can help them find their pet, you can claim that cash. Phone number to call, 349-2780. Now, I've got another one just in, another dog announcement. This says a lost beagle. I don't have it on screen for you. I apologize. But a lost beagle in the Cow Creek area of Johnson Fork. He's 12 years old, answers to Goose. And this also is a pet for a little boy. So they're very anxious and desperate to get their dog back. If you have any information about Goose, a 12-year-old beagle lost or last seen in the Cow Creek area, 349-1688. Remember, if you see the animals they're after, and of course don't remember the phone number, call me. We'll certainly get you in touch with the owners. Turning to funeral service announcements provided by the friends we have at the McGoffin County Funeral Home. A reminder of services to be held for former McGoffin County and O.C. Rao, 87 of Indiana, who passed away a few days ago. He was born to John and Myrtle Montgomery Rao here in McGoffin County. A decorated soldier, 3 tours of Vietnam, a 3-time recipient of the Purple Heart. He was preceded in death by his loving wife, Shirley Ivadale Rao. Visitation and memorial service in his honor will be held once again this Sunday at 11 in Indiana. And Bessie Phipps, we are told, has passed away. A reminder that services are to be held in her honor beginning tomorrow at 1. That's 65-year-old Bessie Jean Rao Phipps of Scaffold Branch, who passed away yesterday, married to Thomas Phipps, who survives. Also surviving are daughters Tanya Lovely and Tommy Pelfrey. Visitation is this evening and up until services start tomorrow in her honor, all from the McGoffin County Funeral Home. Dauphin County's Judge Executive finds him in court again, this time unrelated to his position as Judge Executive or elections for that matter, but in this particular instance, a wrongful death lawsuit before Judge Preston in Johnson County brought about by the family of Bridget Howard, who alleges that Hardin is responsible for the death of their daughter, who Hardin, they say, discharged from his care, and that of the Paul B. Hall Medical Center a little more than 24 hours before she died of sepsis. We'll hear opening statements from both attorneys representing the plaintiff and the defendant in the case, as we had a camera in the courtroom earlier this week for such. Hardin's attorney will make the opening statements following that of the Howard's family, who says that they have already settled with Paul B. Hall in the case and now are looking for a judgment against the doctor. The attorney representing the Howard family said before the judge and jury that this case is about assigning responsibility for the death of Bridget Howard, who Kenner said was discharged by Dr. Charles Hardin from Paul B. Hall on the night of October the 10th of 2013 while he was chief of staff and Howard's assigned doctor, where she had been for 10 days. Kenner saying that records show that she was discharged with instructions to get labs done and see her family physician the following morning. He also says that she was discharged at 9:08 that evening,
and then hours later taken by ambulance to the Highlands Regional Medical Center the following afternoon at 1:30 with sepsis. From there transferred to the Cabell Huntington Hospital, where she was in a coma and pronounced dead at 12:35 that day. Kenner said that in spite of all of her prior medical conditions related to her spina bifida, that Bridget was a very active, happy person who loved swimming, ATV riding, and volunteering. He also said that records show that a bed sore believed or credited with causing the sepsis had grown in size by 9 times from the time she entered Palby Hall until the time she was discharged, and that she should never have been released from the hospital.
I've been practicing for 36 years. Tried a lot of cases. This is the first time that I can remember where all of their experts agree with me. They've got 4. And I'm going to read you what one will testify to. And again, remember, Dr. Harden discharged her on 10/10/13 with sepsis that he described as improving and a worsening bed sore. And this is a deposition. Again, a minute ago I told you that we actually go question these experts and everyone, so we know what they're going to say. This is Dr. William Anderson. He's actually a family doctor. He's a professor down at the University of South Carolina. I went down and took his deposition. This one was actually taken on October 27, 2015. You're going to see the videotape. I asked him if it would be a violation of the standard of care. In other words, negligence. And this is kind of the answer he gave me, and I'll tell you. If I thought the patient had ongoing sepsis, not having had sepsis treated and resolved, I would not discharge a patient that I thought was actively septic. My question, and to do so would be a violation of the standard of care, his answer is that would be. Their experts all agree that if Dr. Harden discharged Bridget with sepsis on October the 10th, that would be a violation of the standard of care.
In Harden's attorney's opening statement, he said in part that Harden clearly had a treatment plan in place for Bridget Howard, as well as that repositioning to prevent or help heal bed sores was a big part of her care.
That repositioning is very important when it comes to preventing pressure ulcers. What we know from the medical records is that Ms. Howard refused repositioning on the 2nd, refused repositioning on the 3rd, repositioned self on the 3rd. Her mother turned her on the 4th. The family reported she rolls and makes decubitus worsening friction on the 6th. And the family stated on the 10th, they repositioned the patient. We do this all the time and don't need any help. Again, under no set of circumstances am I in any way critical of Ms. Howard or the family for that matter. It's just that things are not as simple as Mr. Kenner would have you see. Family members repositioned, refused staff. Refuses to turn and reposition at this time. In to turn, patient mother states, I just turned her. Family reports she rolls and turns constantly, trying to get comfortable and makes decubitus worse from friction. These are not my words. I'm not telling you what the evidence is going to say. Don't listen to me. Just this is simply the medical record speaking. Dr. Harden, again, did what he thought he could do for her. He offered her short rehab and long-term care facility, but she declines. Offered wound healing center referral, and she is adamant that her mother knows how to do this.
Burke also noted that Dr. Harden involved several other specialists in Bridget Howard's care, and that they also noted normal vitals and no mention of sepsis on several of the same occasions as did Dr. Harden. and that no specialist in Howard's care said that she should not be discharged, and that Hardin offered her rehabilitation in a long-term care facility and treatment at a wound care facility, and that there were no signs of sepsis at the time of Bridget's discharge.
That was coverage from Tuesday after a jury was seated. Testimony continued through yesterday and was called off for today, and it resumes in the case next Monday. All right, here's a short and not sweet at all forecast powered by Licking Valley RECC. This is one to watch. As far as precipitation, yeah, there is nothing on the radar to show you right now, so I'm not going to go there. There is a chance of some light snow working its way up from the south and east into southeastern Kentucky and maybe the viewing area. We're kind of right on the line. Could see a dusting of snow, still a little ways out, still a lot of ways out, but possible during the overnight. Flurries is how as far with it as I'm going to go and call it there, because I think that's just as much as we'll see. Nevertheless, keep your eye on the weather and most certainly the thermometer. 9 degrees is where we expect to fall to tonight. Yes, that's 9 degrees. Wind chill factors will be at or below zero with a wind out of the north at 3 to 6 miles per hour relatively consistently this evening. And then that will be followed tomorrow by a daytime high of only 18 on your Saturday. Partly sunny, but cold. Wind chill values tomorrow, -2. You got a west-northwest wind around 7-8 miles per hour, and early it will be brutal. And it will be brutal again late tomorrow on your Saturday as well, with partly cloudy skies. A nighttime low of 4 right now is what I'm expecting for us, and with a slight wind out of the west and northwest. Wind chill factors anywhere from -2 to -7 tomorrow night. Last half of your weekend not getting much better. 22 degrees with a wind chill factor of 6 during the day. Nighttime lows definitely more favorable at 13, even though it's not favorable, just more so. Wind chill factors on your Sunday could once again include -2 to maybe -6 as well. So just brutally, brutally cold. But there is a little relief in sight. One may say even a lot of relief. 38 and mostly sunny on your Monday. We do have a 20% chance of some snow showers late. That precipitation, I think, is still going to be here on Tuesday, but warm air is going to push in, and we'll have a chance of showers and not snow with 50 and 39. 52 degrees on Wednesday. Thursday of next week, I think we're looking at 56 degrees, 60 by next Friday, and then it might be back to wintertime. It's going to wrap it up for tonight. Stay in, stay warm, stay in front of the TV, in front of the fire, whatever you can do to enjoy what is going to be a really cold weekend. And we hope to see you back here Monday for more news like tonight that you're only going to see on Your News Today. Thanks for watching.